Hello.
Everyone. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to one of the last sessions today. For those who are just joining, I'm Helena and I work at Miro as Miroverse community specialist. And today with me I have Nee, who is a Miroverse creator community member, and she creates beautiful retrospectives. So when we thought retro, I couldn't think of anyone else. So her retros are so beautiful, so aesthetically pleasing. Every time I see them, I love the colors. It's amazing. Today we're going to run a retro all together with all of you. We want to have your feedback, your ideas, also to hear what you liked, and maybe you just want to say thank you to our speakers today. So, before we start, I actually want to ask you Nee some questions about retro. So, if you could just tell us a bit about you. I know you're a Scrum Master. Um, Maybe there's something else you'd like to share.
Yeah. So thank you for having me today and thank you for the introduction, Helena. So my name is Yi. I'm located here in Sweden and I've been working as a Scrum Master for almost 2 years now. And as of today, I actually got promoted at my current company. So yay. So I'm working as a Scrum Master lead at Nets. So this is a perfect way to celebrate it, and I just love working with retrospectives, especially in Miro. And I'm working closely with four amazing Scrum Masters and also with a development team today, where I believe that retrospectives are one of our key to success when it comes to the team, the product, and our ways of working. So thank you so much for having me here, Helena.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you could join. So, actually, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about the importance of running retros, like what results you see of teams consistently running this ceremony. You even told me I didn't know this was an agile ceremony. That was
That's
new
correct.
to me. Yeah.
Yes.
So what? Why is it so important?
So from my perspective, I think it's super important to run retros because it's a great way to talk about improvements and highlights of the work and the team. Because some teams are used to talk about this on a daily basis, some teams are not. So I find retrospective ceremonies really valuable to have these kind of current sessions where you talk about the goods and the bads and you give feedbacks and talk about highlights and all of that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. In my team, we run retros pretty frequently, and I love it. It's really nice and has great results. And before we start, are there any tips you'd like to give us? We would love to get some tips from you about for running retros. If you are maybe just part of the retro, or if you lead it. Um,
So yeah, so I've shared some very basic retro tips here in the board, and I've heard that the speakers have been talking about the icon finder before in this event, and I want to highlight it again. I really love the icon finder here in Miro. It's super fun, and you can basically find everything there. So I usually go into the icon finder and just search for everything happy. Once I had a Chinese New Year retrospective, and I was so happy to see that you had a lot of icons for that. So yeah, I just love Icon Finder. So that is one of my favorite tips. Another one that I have is always to choose a theme or theme for your retrospective. Um, so it could be something fun, it could be something relatable to your team or project, just anything. It's always nice to have a theme to come to when you're having the retrospectives. And the third one is, so basically when the team is writing their post-its, it's always nice to play some lo-fi music in the background to avoid a complete silence. Miro also has this cool feature where you can add some music in the background while you're using the timer here. So I think that's really, really cool. And I love to use that on my retrospective sessions. And the last part is that I always start the session with an icebreaker. So it could basically be a 5-minute icebreaker. It doesn't need to be that long. And it could be anything from asking a question or just having a super quick quiz or just anything, just to warm up the brains before you start the retrospective, because it could be so intense sometimes.
It definitely can be. And well, we are not doing an icebreaker in this session, but we did one earlier on. And by the way, everyone is welcome to come back to that board and leave your card or drop a pin from where you're from. So there are some links there on the board. So without further ado, we'd like to invite you to participate in this retrospective. Community is very important for Miroverse. There wouldn't be Miroverse without the community. So we really value your feedback, your ideas, your thoughts. So this retro is separated in two parts. So the first part is about this particular event. So if you'd like to share what you learned or what you liked, you can drop some notes there. Just write your thoughts and comments on the stickies that you see. If you would like to see something else, something particular in the future, or maybe you felt like something was missing that you think would fit really well, we would also like to know. And the second part is about Miroverse itself. So what is your favorite feature or features, and what would you like to see in the future? Maybe you can also leave some links to your favorite templates, maybe templates that really helped you at work or maybe in personal life, because as we said, that Miro can be used for many different purposes. So it would be really interesting to see. And finally, we left you some space for thoughts. So if you feel like your thoughts do not fit into these categories, just leave them there, or just leave a note, maybe a thank you to one of the presenters if you enjoyed something in particular. It would be very much appreciated by everyone, I am sure. So we'll set a timer again, like we did in the last session, for about 5 minutes and see how we go from there. And if Katie, you can put some music on. We're not going to be using the Miro music. We're going to be using another kind of music today, but do know that you can choose some tunes here. Okay. I can see people are starting to leave notes, and it's really great to see.
It's lovely.
So, Ni, how often do you run retros with your team? Is it like a weekly thing, or?
It's a bi-weekly thing, so every second week. So it's quite often, actually.
Yeah, and actually, that I think bi-weekly is perfect. Yeah, and how did you get into Agile? It is a question I have for a lot of people who are, who work in Agile or are super interested in it, because I actually learned about it when I joined Miro. And
nice.
I find it super interesting. And there is the whole thing about Agile versus Scrum, which we don't need to get into today. But I'm really curious how you found yourself there.
So it all started with, I educated myself last year, actually. So I'm basically new in this tech world. And I graduated as a business analyst, so not even a Scrum Master or not even close to that. But then during my internship at Telia, where Henrik also works now, I got the chance to try out the role as a Scrum Master. And ever since, I've just loved it, because you're working closely together with the team and the individuals on a daily basis, and you're just collaborating with them every day. And that's just super amazing. And ever since, I've just wanted to work with Scrum, wanted to work with the team and Agile. And yeah, that's how I ended up here today. So everything started basically 1 year ago, but I've been working as an intern, as a Scrum Master. So
that's really impressive. Yeah. Today you got promoted. Congrats.
Yay, I'm so happy. And this is a perfect way to celebrate it.
Yeah, this is a perfect way to celebrate. And I'm really happy that you just, I remember you sent a first board to Miroverse, and I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. And now you have, I think, more than a dozen, and one of your board won in one of the challenges. So and now you're leading this event, which is very exciting. It's really nice to have you here. Also, by the way, this template is also available on Miroverse, not exactly looking like this, but oh my god, the sun is right in my face. I'm trying to maneuver myself over here. But yeah, for those who are interested, we left the link to these templates, which are, as I mentioned, beautiful. And yeah, and this template is also there. So after this session, please go and use it with your team.
That's correct.
So we have a couple more, just under 2 minutes.
There's a lot of stuff happening here. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice indeed. Okay. Just 1.5 minutes. And of course, everyone's welcome to return. We actually encourage you to come back to this board and leave more comments. As I said, we really appreciate your thoughts and ideas. So we'd really love to know more, as much as possible. I see some hearts. Somebody just left a heart, which is very cute. People learned about the icon finder, or they liked I guess they learned about it. Design ideas, good icebreaker ideas, engagement. Love the engagement. I love the engagement too. Really appreciate everyone tuning in and actively participating today. All right. And Dixie saying that Miro is a great way to launch agile teams. And I agree. I couldn't agree more. And I see McCall dropped a link here in the chat about voting. It is a last call for voting for Miroverse Awards. So if you haven't voted yet, this is pretty much your last chance. So yeah, go and vote. We will announce the winners very soon in the next session. Okay, just a couple of seconds. Okay, time's up. Please continue adding your thoughts on the stickies. Time's up for us in this session for the voting now. But yeah, as I said, please continue. So, Nia, I have a question for you. You know, in some retros that I've been part of, we would group certain ideas. Is that certain comments and ideas? Is that a common thing to do?
Sorry, what? I didn't get
to group certain stickies.
Like, yeah, exactly. I mean, if the stickies are quite similar to each other, we can group it and like discuss it within the group, if that's what you meant.
Yeah, something like that, like finding a common theme. Perhaps not to spend too much time. I quite like that. I think it also kind of encourages everyone to read each other's thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And we usually start the retro sessions like that, so you don't need to go through that once again and again.
Oh yeah, that's cool. And also you mentioned that it's important to set action items afterwards. We are not going to do it today, but why is that important?
So basically, like after each retrospective, you always agree upon like 3 or 4 action items, depending on the team and depending on the timeline. And it's always like we don't want to agree upon action items that won't happen. So I think that's, as for me as a Scrum Master, it's super important to follow up on these weekly or daily, depending on what kind of action items it is, just to make sure that the team can trust like your action items and that you create a trust within the team. So it's not about just to create a retrospective and run a retrospective and create the action items. The most important part is to actually follow this up. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I guess for the next retro, you reflect on the action items that you set before. So, and then it becomes this continuous cycle that you run every 2 weeks, for example.
exactly. So I can basically follow it up on the next retrospective session or just do it in the next day or the next week or something like that. It like depends on the action item and what we've been agreeing upon. So you basically set a timeline, you set an owner, and based on that, you follow the action item.
Cool. Thanks for the tip. Thanks for the tips. I'm sure everyone appreciates it. So
Thank you.
before we finish this session, I would just like to go through some comments and ideas just to briefly look at them. We'll look at all of them later on. I can see I can find voting is something that someone learned today, which is amazing. It is a very useful feature. Good icebreakers, ideas, excellent tips and tricks. I know Andre's session. It might have certain tips might have seemed so obvious, but they made so much sense, and I think it works with a lot of things. I
Totally.
definitely learned a lot too. Yeah, 100% Zoom option, all that. Yeah, different ways to use the tool. Basically, yeah, you can use Miro in very different ways, and that's the beauty of it. Great. And let's look at Miroverse. Less comments here, less stickies here. Yet, favorite feature on Miroverse posted. It's actually on Miro, but Miroverse, if you haven't checked out Miroverse and you are in this event not knowing what Miroverse is, you can go to Miroverse. It's on one of the links. So when you click on Nice templates or into the Miroverse companion board, you will be led to Miroverse where you can find a lot of different templates on many different topics. You can submit your own template. We actually encourage you to submit your own template and yeah, just go from there. And there is a link to the networking corner, which it was the icebreaker today for you to come back, connect with fellow attendees, and yeah, and maybe collaborate together. And you can also join us in the Miro community. The link is here. Okay, and I think we're running out of time. Thank you, everyone who participated in this retro. Please keep participating while this board is available, and it will be available for a while. As I said, we'll come back and read all of your comments. Nee, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been so lovely. Oh, links are locked, somebody writes. I will
Oh,
unlock them for you. It must have been me being
oops.
extra cautious for no one to move anything on the board because we've seen how it can be today. Anyway, thank you, Neith, for joining us today.
Thank
It's
you so much for having me.
lovely to have you again, and hopefully we'll see you very soon again.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.